Begin service if we may. Thank you for joining us here. I will, as we are now in the room for the service, I will lose my mask. I have had my second booster, four inoculations so far, and I'm going to get more as we go on. I am going now, this is our Shotsuki Hoyo service for the month of May, and so I will go out and ring the konsho bell, and after returning from ringing the konsho, I will begin reading the names of those we know that we've lost in the month of May. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Buddhamanda, Namanda, 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 Buddhamanda, Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. I will now, if I may, read the May Shotsuki Hoyo list. These are the members of the temple, our friends and our family, whom we know have passed away in the month of May. If you lost someone in the month of May who you'd like added to our list, please let me know. There's no charge for that. We'll be happy to add their name for the next time. Reading here in 2022, our May Shotsuki Hoyo list. We are dedicating this service to Amasuge Kyoko, Alima Tomo Saburo, Endo Gihei, Fujimoto Kimi, Fujimoto Masao, Fukuwa Yuriko Betty, Goto Chikako, Hamano Shinajiro, Hashimura Akira Gary, Hernandez Setsuko Sonoki, Ikeda Dr. Kazuo, Ikeda Kiichi, Kawamoto Yoichi, Kawamura Randy, Kikawa Alan, Kishaba Kyoko, Kuramoto Kaori, Kuramoto Stephen, Marumoto Kunitoshi, Matsumoto Rokuichi, Mito Aiji, Miyagishima Genkichi, Miyamoto Kome, Miyashita Shinichi, Murashige George, Naito Sasako, Nakajima Nui, Nakamoto Kenichi, Nakamura Tani, Nakashimo Hirose, Nishimoto Jin Kaoru, Nishimura Ki, Numa Toranosuke, Ogata Y, Okuno Heiji, Okuno Tane, Okutani Koshimo, Onishi Katsuto, Otani Waka, Sakuda Ushi, Sato Ayako, Sato Henry Yoshio, Shimoda Tokiko, Shinmoto Bill, Shirozu Iso, Suechika Tom, Sunada Yuku, Sunairi Chieko, Takemoto Mitsuyo, Tamanaha Kokichi, Tanaka Hiroshi, Tanaka Minoru, Tanaka Ryotaro, Tanaka Sute, Tanaka Yone, Tasaki Hyakutaro, Tsukimoto Mary Yoshie, Ushijima Helen Mori, Utsumi Helen Chieko, Wakabayashi Nobuki, Watanabe Mitsu, Yamada Sentaro, Yamamoto Yoshikiyo, Yamasaki Toshimi, Yamashita Shigeichi Jack, Yamane Tatsuo Yusa Hatsuo. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Dabutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Dabutsu. Thank you very much. This is our May Shotsuki Hoyo list. Those were the people to whom we specifically dedicate this service. And I will now ask you to join me in the chanting of the Sambutsugay. I believe Ellen Goto will get it up on the screen for those at home. And if you're using the book here, we are on page, oh, I haven't found it yet. I see. Page 33 for the Romanized version, which most of us will be relying upon. So page 33, if you would, for the Sambutsugay. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Busatsu Daimuryo Jukyo Sanbutsuge Kogen Gigi Ijin Mugoku Nyode Enmyo Muyo Tosya Nichigatmani Shuko Enyo Kaishtonpe Yunyaku Jumoku Nyodai Yogen Chote Murin Shongaku Daion Koru Jippo Kaemon Kyojin Tammai Chie Itoku Muryo Shusho Keiyu Jintai Lennen Shobuten Hokai Gujin Jin no Kungon Gaitai Mumyo Yokunu Teison Yomu Ninno Shi Jintoku Muryo Kukun Kodai Chie Jinmyo Komyo Iso Shindo Daisen Ganga Tabuten Daisho Ho Kado Shoji Mihu Gedaten Fute Joi Kainin Shojin Nyode Sammai Chie Ijo Gote Tokubuten Fugyo Shigan Ithai Kuku Issa Dayan Keshi Ubuten Yakuten Nokuman Muryo Daisho Shunyong Godya kuyo issai, shito shobuten funyo gudo, kensho hungyaku, hinyo goja, shobuten sekai, bufu kage mushu thando, komyo shisho, henshi shokoku, nyode shojin, ijin nanryo, ryoga sabutsu kokudo daichi, goshu kimyo, dojo chozen kokunyo, nayon, nimu toso gato aimin, dodaten isai, Jippo raisho shinnaten shoujo, ito ga koku keiraku unknown, kobuten shinmyo dega shinsho tsugan nohi, likisho shoyoku jippo theithon, chie muge joryo shison, chiga shingyo keiryo shinshi, shoku dokuchu, Gagyo shojin ninju fuke. Namandabu, 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 namandabu. Ganiya shikudoku. Byodo sei isai, dohon monai shinna ojo an ra koku. Namanda buddhamanda, namanda 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 buddhamanda, namida butsu, namanda butsu. Well, we're here in the annex. We do not ask you to stand for the devotional readings. It'd be a little too awkward. And our devotional reading for this morning, that's on page 10 in the OCBC service book. And Alan Goto will get it on the screen for our friends at home. The three treasures. How rare and wondrous it is to have been born into human life. And now I live it. How rare and wondrous it is to be able to listen to the Buddha Dharma, and now I am able to hear it. If I do not transcend the world of delusion in this life, when will I ever attain spiritual liberation? May I, along with the entire Sangha, with sincere heart and mind, rely on that which can be truly relied on in life, the three treasures. I rely on the Buddha. May I, along with all sentient beings, awaken to the great path with my entire being and discover the highest aspiration, which is to become a Buddha. I rely on the Dharma. May I, along with all sentient beings, deeply reflect on the meaning of the sutras and gain wisdom that is as deep and vast as the ocean. I rely on the Sangha. May I, along with all sentient beings, become one Sangha of life, able to move forward and live with a dynamic spirit that is hindered by nothing. The unsurpassed, deep, and wondrous Dharma, even in millions of kalpas, is extremely difficult to encounter. But now I am able to experience and embrace it. May I come to understand and revere the true meaning of the Tathagata. Namita Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. And now, one of the only two songs we dare to try to sing a cappella, Ondoku-san. I don't know if people at home get music or not, but we're going to do this a cappella, and so I will ask you, I don't know one from two, so I don't read music. So it's either on page 145 and 146. Please follow as best you can on a count of three, and that starts with 1 and 2. Nyorai dai no ondoku wa miyoko ni shite mo hozu beshi shishu chishiki no ondoku mo 骨を砕きてもシャスべし。ナモミタブツ、ナモナブツ、ナモミタブツ、ナモナブツ、ナモナブツ、ナモナブツ、ナモミタブツ、ナモナブツ、ナモナブツ。Well, again, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Those of you who came in person, thank you. And thanks for those at home who've tuned in. Here we are still holding our services in the annex, but that's good. It means you can eat the donuts. There's donuts. And, yeah, there's no rule against eating and drinking in this room, right? So it's funny, too, as I tell people, one of the differences you see in martial arts that I will come often, and on Tuesday or Thursday I'll eat with my Mandarin jacket on. Oh, a karate person would never eat lunch with their gi on, Why not? I don't know, but it's part of the etiquette. It's okay to eat in this room, so please make yourselves comfortable. We're still in the annex, and the vaccinated public are invited to join us here. And we'll be back in the temple building, in another month or so. We'll see, before too very long. We have completed the Asbestos Abatement. Thank you all, those of you who sent donations. It's extremely expensive to do that. And then we're going to be, in another couple weeks, tenting for termites. And that's always fun to watch your neighbors, because the termites that you don't get, they move next door. So that's why I said, originally someone asked me, do you need to tent the residents? Well, if you don't, all the ones that survive from here are going to go over there. So yeah, you do. This again is our Shotsuki Hoyo service for the month of May. We remember those who passed away in the month of May. And our service is dedicated to those people whose names I read just a little bit ago. I'm very sorry if you lost someone in the month of May. And I hope you will accept my sincere condolences for all those whom you have lost. It is perhaps interesting that we tend to use that verb for someone who's passed on. We lost them. It is experienced as a terrible loss when someone you truly love dies. And our losses are real. My mother passed away 30 years ago. It'll be the 30th anniversary coming up this fall, what we call 31st year in our denomination. But 30 years ago, and I'm still not okay with it. That deep spiritual level where we are prepared to embrace life whatever happens does not prevent us from trying to make our lives better. It does not prevent us from regretting the loss of those we love when they precede us. It does not mean that it's okay that things are not okay. It's not okay that things are not okay. As I told you last week, losing a loved one is not okay. Things that are not okay need to be changed over time. The ones we can change, most of them we might be able to change. The larger Sutra on Amida Buddha has an analogy, and it asks, could you empty a lake with a spoon? And can you imagine? Why do we need to empty the lake? Where do you put the water once you get out of the lake? I don't know, but could you empty a lake with a spoon? And the answer is yes, you could. How would you do that? Well, because you use the spoon emptying the lake, and when it comes to be your time to pass on, you pass the spoon to your children, and they pass it on to their children. That's what the Sutra says. It's an interesting analogy, but our current bishop, Reverend Marvin Harada, has a better analogy that he picked up, which is, of course, the monarch butterfly analogy. That he looked into this and discovered that, the monarch butterflies, when they make their circuit, their migration, it takes 3 generations. If you're a monarch butterfly, you start off on this very important journey with every intention of coming back, but it's your grandchildren who come back. For some of what must change, the current degradation of the environment, the readiness of all the major powers in the world to jump to war, the preposterously high number of people who are living in homelessness, for some of what must change, we may have to wait 3 generations to see real progress. Yet we must start now. In many areas, we will not be able to finish the work that needs to be done, but we still need to start it. How are we to endure the long wait? How are we to put up with our own helplessness, relative helplessness, in matters like the current invasion of Ukraine? How do we endure the fact that for most of the people in the world, the water that they drink is not clean, it's dangerous, it's not drinkable? The majority, more than 50% of human beings currently live more than 30 miles away from clean water, something like that. And the water is getting more dirty and more dangerous all the time. How do we endure that? How many children are homeless right now in Ukraine, in Los Angeles? We don't know. How can we bear the sadness of it? Part of what we must do to endure the sadness of the current human condition is to do something to change things. We must act to change things for the better. When we are acting to improve conditions, even pretty awful conditions, they're more bearable. The news coming out of Ukraine is unbearable. Families separated, fathers killed defending their cities, children killed by missiles, newborn babies and their mothers blown to pieces. It's terrible. But you know, it will end. This war will end in our lifetimes. And we can do something to help even now. We can send humanitarian aid, for example, through UNICEF. Will homelessness end in our lifetimes? No. Will homelessness end in my children's lifetimes? No. Like the monarch butterflies, can we expect a resolution in our grandchildren's time? Maybe. If we all act vigorously, starting right now, maybe in 3 generations, we can substantially reduce homelessness. In 3 generations' time, if we start now, we, here in the United States of America, might end homelessness. I won't live to see it. And don't forget that part of what is needed is not just social change, it's political action. I won't tell you which parties or candidates to support, but I am telling you that without political action, nothing will change. You can't just say, oh, that's politics, we avoid that. No, not in your personal life. You have to embrace it, so do I. You have to deal with it. Without taking not only social but also political action, the number of homeless men, women, and children in this country will not decrease. So I'm asking you to look at the situation carefully, make your own decisions about who to back and how to proceed, and then act on those decisions. And I'm being optimistic enough to say that we can act to decrease the suffering in Ukraine right now. And I hope that the conflict there can be resolved, certainly in this decade. And environmental degradation could be substantially reduced in 3 generations or so. So much to do. Last week we were visited by the neighborhood dogs. Somebody was walking the dogs, they ran in the middle of service. So I petted him on the head and said hi, and what was I supposed to do, right? One of our members actually found the guy who was walking him and lost control of him, got him back, but that's all I could do for him. Pat him on the head and say hi. Our friend got him back to the owner. What about the suffering of animals? You know, if we all turned vegetarian overnight, it would improve the conditions for animals by about 1,000th of 1%, because most of animal suffering isn't caused by human beings. It's caused by the fact that they're prey for other animals. It's caused by the fundamental situation of biological life, which is bad. As a human being looks at it, it's bad. It shouldn't be this way. Other religions sometimes think this world was created by an intelligence. Are you kidding me? Of course this world was not created by any intelligence. No kindly, decent, intelligent force would create a world where most of the animals are eating one another right now. It's a horrible world. We've got to change things. How do we change that? How do we decrease the suffering of our fellow animals? I'm not sure. But we must start now. And for ourselves, we must endure, despite the sadness and the suffering we see everywhere, despite the fact that our actions to try to reduce the suffering are so limited and take so much time to bear fruit. We must endure. We must have hope, and there is reason for hope. There is goodness in this universe. There's goodness in this universe, and we see it in many ways, And in our stream of tradition, in our stream of Buddhist tradition, we hear the goodness of life calling to us in Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, in saying, I rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. In the Nembutsu, in the promise of the Buddha, we find goodness. It is embracing us and transforming us. It's going to take a long time to change some of the things we need to change. There are things that could be substantially improved in 3 generations. There are little things we can do right now. Send humanitarian aid to Ukraine. Who do you trust to address the homeless issue? I don't know anybody. I don't know any group that's doing anything that I'm 100% behind. If you know somebody, give them money. Address these issues as best you can. And when we find an issue we just don't know what to do about, we just turn to life itself and realize, nonetheless, there is beauty and goodness in this world. There is beauty and goodness in human beings and in other animals. There is love. It is real. And we must embrace the goodness of this life. I encourage you to follow our path if you like, saying the Buddha's name in forms like Namo Amida Butsu. But whichever path you take forward, act today. Begin acting today, but be gentle with yourself. Realize some of what we need to change cannot be changed in our lifetime. There's some stuff that maybe in 3 generations, maybe make substantial progress in 3 generations. And there's some stuff that I don't know what to do about it. I'm still going to chip away at it. Animal suffering. What can you do? Talk to the crows when you're walking around in the yard. Pat the stray dog on the head. Sometimes that's all you can do, but do something. Always take positive action and trust. Life is good. There is truth in this universe, and it is coming into a ball of light. That ball of light will pick you up and take you where you need to go. At the end of your days, this luminous truth will embrace you and take you into the goodness, which is the essence of reality, despite all appearances to the contrary. I thank you for listening to what I had to say today. I thank you for your support of our temple, and I hope that you have a very good week here, the first week of May. Thank you for joining us. I will close the Dharma message portion of the service by saying the Buddha's name, and I would ask some of you who are in a mood to join me in doing that. We rely upon the source of limitless wisdom and endless life. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much. Okay, thanks. So by way of closing remarks, there are still some donuts.